If you have a basic knowledge of Python, if you know about the Python syntax and the basics of Python, so you can easily skip this video and move towards the projects which we are going to be building in this course. This video is only focused for Python beginners who have no knowledge about Python basics and syntax. I will be not covering all the Python basics because it will take a lot of time, and we are going to be doing a practical based approach and learning Python by making practical projects using it. If you want to get more knowledge about Python basics, so you can join our community group. I will leave the link for both of the group. One is of WhatsApp group and another one is a Telegram group. So you can join that groups and get a better knowledge of Python basics. And we are going to be also sharing the PDF books using which you can learn more about Python programming and its basics. So you can join that community group to get more knowledge about Python basics. So let's get started with the basics of Python. So in the previous session of the course, we have installed all these three pieces of software onto our system and set up our development environment for Python. So in this video, we are going to be covering all the basics of Python. So first of all, we will open our VS Code IDE onto our system and we will create our first Python file, and it will just get initiated, and it has opened the VS Code IDE for us. So it is just showing some welcome page and new things which we have onto this IDE. So first of all, we will just create a new file. So as you can see, we are in this Python setup folder, and I will just click on this new file, and I will just name it as basic.py. So we are going to be covering all the basics in here. So as you can see, it is activating the extension, which is the Python extension for us, and it is loading it. So as you can see, I am using the Python version 3.6.2, and I will recommend you to use this version only because it is the most stable version, and it is more compatible with all the libraries as well as the Python modules. So we don't get any errors while programming, and we don't need to debug the errors and solve the errors. So this is the most stable version, and I will leave it in the resources section so you can download it from there and install it onto your system like we followed it in the previous video. So first of all, what we will do is we will be taking a look at a Python code, and we are going to be starting with Python. So first of all, let me show you how you can create comments in this Python. So if you add an hash and if you start writing something, so this is our Python. So as you guys can see that if you add an hash in front of any line of code, so it will comment it, or there are more other ways of commenting a line. So this was the syntax of a single line comment, and if you want to add a multi-line comment, so we need to add three inverted commas, and in here we can write multi-line comments as well. So we will write multi-line comments, and we can even write something else here. So we will type first Python program, and if you want to close it, so we also need to add the inverted commas, three inverted commas again. So it will just close the comment for us. So what are comments basically is like if you want to add a line in between the program, so we can understand what this line does. So if the programmer is looking at your code and he wants to understand that how this code works, so you can add these comments there. So he will be basically getting what is the purpose of that line of code. So what we're going to be doing next is we are going to be creating a variable. So let me add a variable as a, and it will be equals to 5. So basically, what is a variable? So a variable is a container where we can store values. So basically here the container is a, and in that we are storing a value of 5. So basically this is a concept of variable, and using variable we can store values in it, so we can use it further in our program. So we can there are multiple ways of getting this creating this variable. And further in this video we are going to be also taking a look at how we can take the input from the user through command line. So for now we have created this variable as a as 5, and it shows a value of 5. We are going to be creating another variable which will be b, and it will be equals to 10. And using these two variables we are going to be performing some operations like mathematical operations for now. So I will just create another variable which will be c, and it will be equals to a plus b. So basically we are going to be performing an addition of these two variables, and we will see the output. So for showing the output we need to add a print statement. So we will do print c, and it will print the output for us onto our command line or the output screen. So in Python, we don't need to add the data type of the variable because it is a dynamic type programming language, and it automatically detects the type of data which we are passing into this variable. So basically in other programming languages, we need to like add an int data type in front of the variable. But in Python, it automatically detects that which kind of data this variable contains. So it is a really easy way of writing code without like defining the data type into the program. So it makes it very easy to code in Python, and we don't need to like think about what is the data type and all that thing. The Python automatically detects it and take care of it for us. So for now what we will do next is we are going to be printing it out, and we also need to add another extension onto a VS Code ID, that is code runner. So we will just type code runner. So here is that extension, that is code runner. So it will add this kind of button in the VS Code ID. After pressing it, you can easily run your code. So you need to install this extension onto your system as well. So it will help us to like directly run our program by just clicking over this button. So we will just go back and minimize it, and if I click on this button, so it will start executing the program for me. So I just forgot to save the program, and I will save it. And if I run it again, so it should tell us the output as 15. So as you can see that addition of 5 plus 10 is 15. So it has given us the output. So if you want to add a string in front of it, so we can easily add it with adding these double inverted commas, and we can write a plus b equals to, and we will add a comma here. And if we save it, and try to run it, so it will show us that a plus b equals to 15. So that is a way of adding a string and a value, which is an integer value, into a single line of print statement. And what we will do next is we are going to be performing some other operations as well, like multiplication. So you can just change the symbol in between here, and if we save the program, so it will we will just also change this to multiplication. So the multiplication is basically performed using this star symbol onto your keyboard. So you can add it by this start symbol, and if we run it, so as you can see that 5 into 10 equals to 50. So it is giving us the output as 50. So basically this is a basic program that using which you can do calculations in Python. So you can try it for multiplication, division, as well as modulus. So it will give you the remainder and the quotient. So you can try different operators on this. So that is it for the basics of like mathematical operation in Python. So you can try for other operation as well, like subtraction. I will just add a line of comment. So you need to do this on your own. So you need to apply it for subtraction as well as division and modulus. So you need to perform all this operation with it, and you just need to change this symbol in between a and b, and it will just perform the operation for you. So I will just comment this line of code for you, and we will move further, and we will try to take an input from the user and perform some operations over it. So we will name our variable as A again, and I have commented this line of code, so it will not run this lines of code for us again. So we will create a variable A again, and what we are going to be doing is we are going to be adding an input, and in here we are going to be taking the input from the user. So if I add a string, and we can say the user that enter some value, and we will just print out this value into our output screen. So we will just print A here, and we will save it, and if I run it again, so it should ask me enter some value. So if I enter some value that is like 15, so it will show the output as 15. But when we are getting this value, you can even add a /n here, so it will go to the next line, and it will don't ask the value on the same line. It will go to the next line and ask for the value. So if I save it and run it again, so as you can see, it has gone to the new line. So you can use /n to go to the new line. So if I add here 30, so it will print 30. So that's how you can take the input from the user using Python. So you can create a variable name, and it will be equals to input, and in here we can add a string, so it will display it on the output screen and ask the user to enter whatever you want. You can even change this string to like what you like. So using this we can get the input from the user. So I will add a line of comment here, and we will add user input, and I will just do basic operations, and here is how we can take the input from the user. So if you want to check what is the data type of this value which we are taking as an input, so we can type or call a function which is type, and it is a built-in Python function which returns the class of the variable. So I will add print type, and in bracket we can pass the value that is A, and if I save it and if I try to run it, so if I take any input from the user, so as you can see, I will add 14 as an input value, and if I press enter, so as you can see that this the class of this variable is string. So basically we are passing an string. So basically the default data type of input is string. So whenever we pass any value through this input function, it is in format of string. So if you want to convert it into any other what you can say is any other data type, so we can add it extensively. So we can add int, and we can add a bracket here, and at the end of it we need to close it. So as you can see, we are typecasting it to integer format. So the A will be equals to an integer value which is an input from the user, and we will like print this on the output screen, and the user will enter the data in here. So if I run it, and if I pass some integer value here, so I will just pass 45, and if I press enter, so you can see now the class is integer. So it has changed, or the typecast has been successfully done, and it has changed the value to integer format, and previously it was in the string format, because by default Python takes the input in string format through the input. So now what we will do is we will just remove this type from here, and we will try to perform some if else operation using the input which we are getting from the user. So if I will do if a mod 2 equals to 0, and if I add a colon here, So it will be an if statement, and we are checking for whether the input is even or odd. So for that, if we do a mod 2 equals to 0, it means the number which we are getting in the input, it is even. So we will print the string here. So we will print out number is, we'll add double inverted commas first, and we will type number is even colon, and we will add the variable which is a here. So it will check for whether the number is even or odd. And if I just do save and if I run it again, so it will ask me for some value, and if I type here like around 10, so it should be a even number. So if I press enter, so as you can see the number is even, which is 10. So if I save it again and if I run it again, so if I pass odd value like 5, so as you can see that we are not getting that number is even. So for the other statement, which is like if the number is not even, so it will be odd number. So for that we need to add another statement, that will be an else statement. We will do else, and in here in this else part we can write print, and in here we can write number is odd, and we will add the number which is a here, and I will just comment out this print statement which we are printing here, and we just want to see the output whether the number entered is even or odd. So we can just save it, and if I try to run it, so it will ask me for some value, and this time we will pass and the same value which is 5. So it should say that number is odd and it should print 5. So as you can see that number is odd and it has a value of 5. So that was a really basic program that you can create using Python to check whether the numbers which you enter are even or odd using the if else statement. So what is basically an if else statement is like we are checking for a condition which is in the if statement, that is if the number in the a variable is like mod 2 equals to 0, basically means if the number is even. So we are printing out this statement which is number is even and passing the value of a, and else what we are doing is the number is odd, so we are passing the number again. So it was a simple program using which you can check for whether the input from the user is even or odd. So now what we will do is we will just comment out all this piece of code and we will move further. So now this time what we will do is I will just remove the input. I will uncomment this input and take the input from the user, and now we will create a program, a simple program using which we can display tables onto our output screen. So we will do it as table. So we are going to be using for loops now. So what we will do is we will create a for, and for we will do I in range. We will add the value here 1 to 11. So basically in Python we need to like check it in this form. So in other programming languages the for loop syntax is different, and in Python we need to add it as for I, which is a variable which we have initiated in the for loop, and in the range of means in between this range which is 1 to 11 we are going to be trying to make a program using which we can print out the tables. So we will do print I into the variable which we are getting from the input through the user. So we are going to be multiplying it and printing it out. So what basically this means is the loop will start in the range of 1 and it will move on by increasing it one by one. So it will first in the first loop it will be 1, in the second loop it will be 2, and the value will continue up until the value of the I is 11. So let me just try to save the program and show you the output once so you can get a better idea of it. So if I run the program and if I want to print the table of 5, so I will just enter 5, and as you guys can see that it is multiplied uh, first of all 5 value with 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, then 5, and so on until the value of it is 10. So it has stopped in the value of 10 and it has quit the program for us. So as you can see, if I enter any other number as well, like 2, so it will print the table of 2 for us. So I will just enter the value 2 here, and as you can see it has print the table for us. So that was a program using which we can print out tables using Python programming language and using a for loop. So after that, what we'll do is we'll just comment out this part of code, and we will take a look at what different types of data types are there, rather than integer, float, and string, and all these data types. There are more data types in Python, like if you know about arrays. So in other programming languages, there are arrays using which we can add the values in a single variable, and it contains different values in it. So basically an array is a collection of similar data types into a single format or in a single variable. So let me give you an example of it. So I will just create a variable as what you can say fruits, and in this variable we are going to be adding some name of the fruits. So I will just add the brackets here, and I will add apple as one of the fruit, and I will add a comma in between, and I can add different names of the fruit. So I will add banana, and you can add orange, and after that, so this kind of variable is called as list in Python, and which is basically an array which is equivalent to array in other programming languages. So basically the format of writing an array in Python is in the form of list. So this is a list, and if you want to get any of the what you can say is, if you want to get any of the variable or the any of the value, so what we'll do is we will just print out the fruit. In fruits we are going to be adding getting the index as 0. So we will print out the first value in this list, so which is apple. So we should get 0. So we should get apple in the output screen. So if I run it, so as you can see that we are getting apple in the output. So if I change it to like 2, so it should give us orange. So I will save it, and if I run it again, so as you can see that it is showing us the value orange here. So if I change it to 1, so it should tell us that output is banana. So as you can see it is showing us perfectly, and if I write it here as the value which is 3 and which is not present here, so let's just try to run it and see. So as you can see, list index out of range. So basically there is only 3 values which are present here, and which start from 0, 1, 2, and we don't have any third value here. So if I add another fruit here, which will be cherry, and if I save it and I try to run it, so this time it should tell us at the third index the value cherry. So as you can see that it has successfully working, and these were the list in Python. We can perform a lot many operations onto these lists. So I believe so you can perform a lot many operations using these lists in Python. So you can add multiple data into a single variable, and you can use it into a programs. So now what we will do next is we are going to be taking a look at another. So now we are what we are going to be doing is we are going to be adding another print statement, and in this print statement we are going to be uh, calling the type function, and in here we're going to be passing the value fruits. So we will just save it and try to run it. So as you can see, the class or the data type of this fruit is list, so it is in the form of list. So there are many more different data types in Python, like tuple as well as sets and dictionaries. So let me show you an example of tuple. So basically tuple is a form of data type in which the values in this tuple cannot be changed, and we cannot modify the data into it. So if I just copy this piece of code and I will just comment out this line, or what I will do is I will just change the format in here. So I will just add these brackets and change the brackets from the box one to this circular one. So if I save the program now and if I try to run it, so it should show us that this is a tuple. So as you guys can see that it has changed the data type of the fruits to tuple. Previously it was list, as you guys can see. So basically using these different kinds of brackets we can change the data type or of the like this variable. So the circular ones is for tuple, and the box ones which is this one is for lists. And there is another one which is our curly braces. So if we add these curly braces, so it will change the data type to set. So basically set is an unordered and unindexed type of data. So we cannot index this data, we can just save it. And if we try to print the index, like the third index, so it will give us a kind of error. So as you guys can see, the set object does not support indexing, so we cannot use indexing here. And if we just try to print out the fruit itself, so it will just print out the values in this set. So as you can see that oranges, banana, cherry and apple. So basically it is unordered list, so we have the values in order like apple, banana, orange and cherry. So while we are printing it, so it is randomly getting the values from here and printing it. So basically it is an unordered list and we cannot index the values from it. So it is called as sets. So I will just add the names in here. So if we add this curly braces, so it will be set. If we add this kind of braces, so it will be brackets, so it will be a list. And if we add this, so it will be tuple. List, set. And there is another what you can say data type which is called dictionary. So in it we can pass a data which will be like, I will just copy some data from my PDF and just paste it in here. So the format of a dictionary is something like this. So as you guys can see, like it is in a kind of a JSON format. Like, so if you are familiar with JavaScript and JSON data, so you can see that it is in a form or a similar form of a JSON data, that the brand colon Ford and the model is Mustang of the car. Basically it is a data of a car, and the year of that car launched is 1964. So we can add different types of data into this dictionary. So basically you can see that these two are string format, these two are also string format, and in this one of the value is in integer format. So we can add multiple data which are of different data types into this dictionary. So that was it for the Python basics, and I think it is enough for getting started with the Python projects which we are going to be making, and we are going to be getting much more knowledge in the practical based approach by making the projects and going through it. And if you want much more knowledge about Python, so what you can do is I will add some resources in the description section, and I will add a link to the WhatsApp as well as our Telegram group, and you can join our community where we are sharing much more knowledge about Python, as well as we are sharing some books which you can use, which are in PDF format, and you can start learning about Python through that as well. So without wasting your time, let's move to the next session of this course.